Once upon a time, in a land where the sun always seemed to wear a golden grin, and the clouds looked like tufts of pink cotton candy, there was a place known as the Smiling Kingdom, where the houses were painted in bright lemon yellows, and the streets were paved with stones that hummed a happy tune whenever someone walked over them. The king and queen were very kind, but they had two children who were the source of all the chaos and laughter in the palace: the naughty prince, Leo, and the naughty princess, Mia, who spent their days finding new ways to turn the royal court upside down with their endless energy and clever tricks. Prince Leo had a habit of hiding the prime minister's spectacles inside giant bowls of lime jelly, while Princess Mia loved to tie tiny bells to the tails of the royal cats, so that the palace sounded like a constant parade of tinkling music, which drove the guards to distraction because they could never sneak up on anyone. The king and queen realized that the only way to get any peace was to announce the great sunset silence, a time every evening when the entire kingdom had to slow down and prepare for the world of dreams. But Leo and Mia were not ready for the day to end, so they decided to sneak out of their rooms and find the secret chamber where the Sandman of Smiles kept the magical stardust that made everyone sleepy. They crept through the long marble hallways, their velvet slippers making no sound, until they reached a door shaped like a crescent moon, and when they pushed it open, they found a room filled with floating bubbles of blue light and soft pillows that breathed like sleeping puppies. In the center of the room was a giant hourglass filled with shimmering silver sand, and Leo, being as naughty as ever, decided to tip it over to see if he could make the night last forever. But as the sand spilled out, it didn't stop time. Instead, it began to float into the air, forming a soft, misty blanket that smelled like warm milk and vanilla cookies. The mist wrapped around the prince and princess, making their heavy eyelids feel like lead, and their mischievous thoughts begin to dissolve into peaceful images of floating on clouds. Princess Mia tried to let out one last giggle, but it turned into a long, slow yawn that echoed through the chamber, while Prince Leo found himself sinking into a pile of cushions that felt like a hug from a giant teddy bear. The naughty energy that had fueled their day was replaced by a gentle warmth that started at their toes and moved up to their hearts, making them realize that sleep was not a punishment, but the ultimate adventure, where they could visit kingdoms made of chocolate and fly on the backs of silver dragons. The Sandman of Smiles appeared in the shadows wearing a robe made of starlight, and he whispered a soft blessing over the two children, telling them that even the naughtiest royals need to rest their minds so they can dream up even better tricks for tomorrow. He tucked them into a single giant bed made of swan feathers and moonbeams, and as the Smiling Kingdom fell into a deep and happy silence, Leo and Mia finally closed their eyes, drifting off into a world where the laughter never ends and the sun is always waiting to greet them with a fresh golden grin in the morning. Leo and Mia drifted deeper into the world of dreams, where the Smiling Kingdom was replaced by a landscape made entirely of bouncing gelatin hills and rivers of sparkling fizzy lemonade, because their mischievous minds were still searching for fun, even in the middle of the night. But as they ran across the wobbling ground, they noticed that the Sandman of Smiles was floating behind them, leaving a trail of soft silver dust that turned every loud sound into a whisper. Princess Mia tried to shout to her brother to look at the giant marshmallow trees, but her voice came out like a soft hum. And Prince Leo found that when he tried to jump into the lemonade river, he moved in slow motion like he was floating through warm honey. The Sunman explained that in the dream realm, the more you try to be loud, the more the silence will embrace you, because the night is a place where even the wildest spirits must learn to flow with the rhythm of the stars. The two naughty royals eventually grew tired of trying to play tricks on the dream creatures, and they sat down on a patch of velvet grass that felt like it was breathing beneath them. Mia looked up at the sky and saw that the moon was actually a giant golden cookie with a bite taken out of it, and she realized that the peace of the night was its own kind of magic, far better than any prank she could play on a royal guard. Leo reached out to touch a passing dream bubble, and instead of popping it, it wrapped around his hand like a warm silk glove, reminding him that gentleness has a strength that noise can never match. The Sandman led them to a bridge made of rainbow-colored light and told them that to return to their palace in the morning, they had to let go of their desire to stay awake and simply trust the flow of the dream reap. As they stepped onto the bridge, the bouncing hills faded into a soft violet mist, and the scent of vanilla cookies returned even stronger than before, wrapping them in a final blanket of absolute security. Leo and Mia finally surrendered to the weight of the day, and as they fell back into the deep pillows of their royal beds, they were no longer the naughty children who wanted to break the rules, but the peaceful guardians of their own imaginations, sleeping soundly while the smiling kingdom watched over them with a golden grin that never faded until the first light of dawn touched the castle towers. The violet mist began to swirl even faster around the giant swan feather bed as the naughty prince and princess felt their spirits returning from the lemonade rivers and marshmallow trees. And as the first golden ray of the sun peeked through the lemon-yellow curtains of the smiling kingdom, Mia and Leo opened their eyes at the exact same moment. They looked at each other with wide grins because they remembered every single detail of the Sandman's secret room. But instead of jumping out of bed to cause their usual chaos, they stayed perfectly still, listening to the happy stones of the street beginning to hum their morning tune. Princess Mia noticed that the silver dust from the dream bridge was still sparkling faintly on her velvet slippers, and Prince Leo found a small piece of the golden cookie moon tucked under his pillow, which smelled like the sweetest vanilla in the world. The king and queen entered the room, expecting to find the pillows on the floor and the royal cats hiding in fear, but they were shocked to see the two naughty royals sitting quietly and sharing a secret smile. The prince and princess had realized that the real world was just as magical as the dream realm if you knew how to look for the hidden wonders, and they decided that their first trick of the day would be to be so incredibly well behaved that the entire palace would be confused which was the naughtiest prank of all. They spent the morning helping the Prime Minister find his spectacles before he even lost them, and they brought bowls of fresh milk to the cats without a single bell in sight. The Sandman of Smiles watched from the shadows of the nursery chimney, smiling to himself, because he knew that the greatest transformation happens when children learn that peace is a treasure, and that the smiling kingdom would be even brighter now that its two wildest stars had learned the secret of the sunset silence. And as the day unfolded with laughter and light, the prince and princess kept the golden cookie crumb as a reminder that every night is an adventure and every morning is a chance to make the world smile in a brand new way. The last rays of the setting sun cast long, ember shadows over the quiet clearing where it all began. The weight of the journey felt heavy in my chest as I looked down at my trembling hands. They were finally still, free of the burden I had carried for so long. There was no grand celebration, no cheering crowd, just the soft rustle of leaves and the profound realization that the version of me who started this path was gone forever. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the small, tarnished token that had driven every choice I made. With a slow, steady breath, I let it fall into the deep grass, where it would eventually be reclaimed by the earth. Healing won't happen overnight, and the scars will remain as permanent maps of the battles fought. But for the first time in a lifetime, the silence felt like peace instead of a threat. I turned away from the fading horizon and began the long walk home, knowing that while the world looked the same, I was seeing it through entirely new eyes. The story was over, but the life I had truly earned was just beginning. Thanks for watching. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your night. May you find deep peace and restful sleep. Wishing you the sweetest dreams. If you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.